Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under this video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and guys, it definitely matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half, shall we? Like I said in today's first upload, I shared a couple of encounters with law enforcement and their Dogman encounters. Tonight I'm going to have a retired law enforcement / Department of Natural Resource officer on to share some very frightening information about these creatures. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Today I have Donald Coleman Jr. back. He's going to share some encounters that happened to other people, some that he had minor involvement in, and some that he has heard over the years. Donald, how are you?
Hello, Jeffrey. Thanks for having me back on.
No problem. Thank you for coming back on. We had been talking for a while, and you just shared a encounter with me that didn't happen to you, but you had some minor involvement in. Can you share that encounter with the guests, please?
Yeah, I'll give you a little inside baseball. When I was on Danielle Stedman's Dogman Diary before my episode got yanked because I gave out some information I shouldn't have, this woman from London, England, on Facebook wanted to be my friend. She's a medium psychic. And I thought, I think I'll take this one. I've never really dealt with them before on anything. And so she and I got to talking, and I asked her, I said, I'm going to give you the coordinates of Tennessee Highway 128 going across Pickwick Landing Dam to Highway 57 to Holiday Hills Road. What is in this area that you can, do your remote viewing? What do you see in this area? And she said, well, right across the street from you in the behind Wind Springs Cove is a Dogman. It's about 7 to 8 feet tall, solid black, about 400 or 500 pounds. And I said, I'll be dog. And that's what you heard in 2015 coming out of that vacant lot across the street from your house. And so I asked her, she called me, she texted me at night one time, because, London, England, and Pickwick Dam on different hours and stuff. Where it's night here, it's day there and vice versa. But anyway, she contacted me, and she said, well, your Dogman is on the move. I said, where's he going? And so I didn't know this. They had a roaming radius of 360 degrees, 50 to 70 miles out the range. So that's a lot of area. That's Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi they cover and stuff. So anyway, she said, it's going to a place called Hooks Bend. There's a camping resort there. I said, that's Big River Plantation. And she said, Hooks Bend. I said, that's Hooks Bend. I know exactly where that is. And that's almost up around the Saltillo, Tennessee, on Kentucky Lake, on the Tennessee River. And this woman had come into my asthma rehab back in 2018. I've been in the hospital like 4 months. I'm not going to get into that now, but she came in my room and wanted to take a picture of her. Lady, I look like hell. I don't feel like you're taking a picture. And I thought, and then I had just like 6 cents kick in. I thought, So I let her take my picture, and I said, let me ask you a question since you came in my room. I said, I know there's panthers out here. I've seen them. I know there's mountain lions. I've seen them. And I know there's bobcats. I've seen them. In the neighborhood, I've seen it. And so I said, but have you ever had a creature or something weird happen to your family that you can't explain? And she said her father had been, he drank, and he was in a truck. I said, are you really from this area? She said, yeah, I grew up, was raised on the Tennessee River on Kentucky Lakeside. I'm from this area. I said, oh, really? And I said, she said, well, the only thing I could tell you that was weird was my dad came up missing, and we looked, searched, had the sheriff's department and TBI and everybody looking for him, and they couldn't find hide in their hair of him. And the bass fisherman got snagged, and he kept pulling, and he pulled up something, and he had some kind of a spotlight that could go in the water, and he spotlighted and saw the tires of the truck that was split upside down. So he called the sheriff's department, and they sent a rescue squad out. And as they got the tag number, they ran it. It belonged to that woman that was interviewing me in my hospital room, named rehab center room, and that was her dad that had flipped over. Sharon Russell told me my Dogman goes to Hooker's Bend, which is up near Salatello, where this truck was found. And I said, well, what was left of him? She said, from his knee to his breastplate and nothing else. In other words, his legs were gone below the knees, feet, arms, and legs were gone, and his head was gone. I thought, good night. I thought, I know we got catfish. I know it ain't that big. And there's only one window broken on it. And I looked at her, and I said, I really get a strong vibe to tell you this. And I said, I know information I can't give to you at this time. I'm sorry. But your dad, he did not commit suicide. Something jumped out, chased him. He was running for his life. When these Dogmen come after you, you drop into a primal fear mode, and you act totally different. You just about pee and shit yourself, right there trying to get away from these things. And I'm thinking that's what happened to her dad. When they pulled the truck out, that was all. She was crying. And, I said, ma'am, look, I put my hand on the Bible. I said, look, ma'am, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, your daddy didn't commit suicide. He ran into the lake by accident. He was trying to get away from something. Because right in that line, from where he was found to where that Dogman that the remote viewer told me fits perfect.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
But you can't tell law enforcement because they're going to, I don't trust law enforcement in Hardin County. I don't even talk to them. I don't have nothing to do with them or anybody in Tennessee law enforcement or Mississippi. I'm just the way I am.
Right.
And, well, I was out in the water. We went from Britain Branch to the beginning of the 10-time waterway, and I said, let's go back. There's too many boats out. It's on a Saturday about 10 days ago or something like that, 2 weeks ago. And I got past Grand Harbor. I told my brother-in-law, Gene Smith, I said, here, take the I want you to drive the boat. And once we got into the Tennessee waters, guess who I saw coming looking right at us was a Tennessee game warden. I said, man, I dodged a bullet that time. Because they pulled me over. I'm in the boat, but you get stopped.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What other encounters that you've heard just, randomly talking to people?
Well, the encounter up at Real Foot Lake, it's up in northwest Tennessee. It's in Obion and Lake counties. It's on the Obion County side. This couple didn't want to take the Eagle Tour on the pontoon boat. They wanted to take their vehicle and go on the roads that kind of go between two swamps. It's like they're cutting trees they've got a roadway there that stays dry, but there's swamp on either side. And they had the 35 millimeter camera, taking shots of the eagle. And they heard a growl or something coming out, and they were running. They saw two dogmen, and they were running for their lives. I mean, they were screaming, hollering, and they got to the car, got inside. Dogman ripped the moonroof completely off, grabbed both of them, and took them both out. And that guy was filming and taking pictures all the time, fighting for his life, but he was shooting the 35 millimeter camera. And they, reported missing, and so they contacted O'Brien County Sheriff's Department, who then contacted the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, and then they got the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, in on it, and they backtracked. They found the guy's car bloody and torn to shreds on the inside, claw marks all down the inside of it, and they did a search of the area. And it was about a year later, some boys were running ATVs, four-wheeling, all down in that area, and they saw a snake going to a brush pile, and they were going to kill the snake, had a gun, and he looked in there and goes, he see some kind of silver black looking, and so they dug out that 35 millimeter camera. Well, they took it back home. The guy said, this got a computer chip. I can download this on my computer. So he downloads and calls his mom and dad in the room, and they see these horrific pictures of these dogmen tearing these people apart. And the guy was still filming the whole time. I guess, nervous twitch. He had some kind of remote control button, and he just kept punching it. And it took all kind of pictures of these things. Parents called the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, and then they contacted the federal game warden. And I think Reelfoot, I know it's a state park there, but somehow the game wardens have jurisdiction over Reelfoot because it's an earthquake lake. And so they went in there to the boys' home and did an interview with them. And then they said, well, show us the picture. He goes, let me go back there. And the teenager showed him how to get to the pictures. He said, will you please leave the room? I need to see them for myself. Well, he saw them, and he pulled the chip out that had the pictures, put in his chip, put it in the computer, and crashed his computer. It wiped out the whole memory of that computer. And he left with we need to take this into as evidence, because this couple's still missing. They've never found the couple. They're still missing. And that boy's out of computer. When the government comes in, especially the federal government, if you're not careful, they can require eminent domain on your property, especially if you're having a lot of these cryptic encounters and stuff, and take your property away from you. So you don't mess with the federal government at all.
No.
And so that's and then there's another case. These bicyclists were coming out of New Orleans, and they were going to go up on the Great River Road. It's in segments, you can travel on it. And they're on the Tennessee side, going up Great River Road. And they went up toward Fort Pella Prison and Fort Pella State Park. They decided they're going to camp and spend the night in the tent. And two dogmen came out and grabbed them and drug them out of their tents, tore the campsite up, and dug them about 50 feet out in the woods and tore them all to pieces. So this elderly couple came by about 10 o'clock that next morning and saw the bodies and called the park rangers, who then called the sheriff's department and the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and they all came out there, and they all wrote it up as a pack of wild dogs.
Yeah, me and you were talking, and that's one thing that you and I both agreed on is, these accounts, the teacher in North Carolina, the doctor from Georgia, they all blame wild dogs. I mean, we very seldom see packs of wild dogs just traveling around. It's something that you don't see, and that really doesn't exist in.
Well, another story is it was on Dogman Stories. I think it was on my episode. I was on that deal, but anyway, she was talking. The woman, the host. I'm not going to mention her name. Anyway, she was saying that the forest rangers up in the Appalachian Trail. Now, I'm not sure where it actually starts. I think it's in northeast Georgia. I think it's where it starts and goes all the way up, the Carolinas and Tennessee and Virginia and all them places up there. But she said the forest rangers have been recovering people that are on these mountain bikes and stuff, and the bikes are all tore up, and they're finding body pieces on the trail. In other words, like a hand or leg or foot, but no other part of the body. So the U.S. Forest Rangers are reporting that.
That's just crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. And so, and then on the another story was between Fulton and Columbus on the Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. They call it I think what I remember of that story was two men were going fishing, and so they were fishing. One was fishing 50 yards from each other where they could see each other. And the guy went in the woods. They go to the bathroom, and he stumbled onto a like one of these things, Bigfoot deals, like out of wood and stuff.
Yep.
And he looked at like an old teepee shelter, and he looked in there and saw man's clothing tore up with blood on it, and the guy had a billfold. So he told him to. They left it where it is, and I think they put ribbons or something where they can find it, and they got the proper authorities, Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks, Game Warden, and probably the local county sheriff's department came in there, and they took pictures and everything like that, and took the statements down, and they got the information off the billfold and took it with them as evidence, and they told those two bass fishermen, don't ever come back here again. You stay out of here. This is they put you under some type of like a crime scene. And we have a crime scene, a murder, send a yellow tape. Well, they yellow and orange tape that and said, this is a crime scene, federal crime scene. So you're in here, we're going to put you under federal authority. You're going to serve some time. So they scared the fishermen away, and they found several articles of clothing with blood on them from different people.
Huh. Now, you are how close to the LBL?
I'm 5 hours away from LBL.
Okay. But during your career of law enforcement, I'm sure you heard some stories out of the LBL.
Well, the only thing I heard is when I was a public safety officer in South Fulton in 1982 and 83, the dispatcher went home, so I had to go and dispatch another patrol unit, went on patrol. So I was answering telephones. So that was before 911. We didn't have all that stuff.
Right.
So this lady called, and she was crying and squalling on the phone. I said, ma'am, you're going to have to calm down. I can't understand a word you're saying. Just tell me what's going on. Well, she said they had a home invade. And I said, do you work for a bank? Like his own, the FDIC, the federal, banking industry. Or does your bank have the FDIC brand? No, I don't work at a bank. I'm thinking at 1:30 in the morning, I get a 6-cent this bogus call. But I said, I can't hang up because it could be, it's a 50-50 call here. And I said, well, why did you call the O'Brien County Sheriff, Weakley County Sheriff, Kentucky State Police, and those two sheriff's departments in Kentucky? And she said nobody would answer the phone except you. Ain't this my lucky day? And so I get on the low band and I call the Memphis, Tennessee the Highway Patrol in Memphis, Tennessee headquarters. I asked to speak to a commanding officer at 1033, which means emergency traffic, possible 1053 or 4 or whatever the codes were back then, kidnapping and home invasion. I said, he need to call me ASAP on public service, which is the telephone. And so he called me up. What he got? I told him what I had. I said, I just got a feeling about the call, but I don't really. You have to make a call because you're a higher authority than I am. I can't send the units to that house. It's too far out of my jurisdiction. And trying to wake up O'Brien County Sheriff, I can go and beat on the door and they won't come to the door. So, what do you think we ought to do? The first thing he said, how far away is this location from the LBL? And I'm thinking, what the hell has the LBL got to do with this? See, the LBL murders took place in March of 82. This was in December, about December the 11th or something like that. He asked me that question. Well, I didn't find out about the LBL murders till Lon Stryker told me about them in 2015.
Right. So that was 3 months before the LBL murders.
That was, that's like 7 months before the LBL.
Okay.
That was in March. All right. Yeah, 7 months. No, 9 months.
Oh, okay. So this was December of 2000, December of
1980. This was December 11th, 1982, and the murders happened about the middle of March of 82. And
well, if that was December of 82, it'd only be 3 months. So it was December of 83 to be 9 months, right?
No, it was December of 82. The murders happened in March of 82.
Right, so it was
March to December.
It was 3 months before.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's crazy.
But anyway, it whatever the time was, that's when the state trooper asked me, and I go, what's this got to do with that? You know? It's just you to remember odd things like that, because it's like, well, how are we talking about LBL when this lady's crying about his home invasion? I said, well, what do you want to do? It's your call to make. You know, hang up? He said, no. You stay on that line and you call everybody you can. We're going to wake some people up. They woke up everybody.
Right.
And so when I was on the line with the lady talking to her, I didn't know that. I heard gunshots. I said, now I called back. Talked to that captain. We got gunshots. We got a hot zone. You go into a hot zone, that means there's gunfire. It's going on. And it turned out I was right. She was faked a home alone. 29 for that, you know.
Right.
And that's back in the 80s. You know, you don't, of course, you know, people, how screwy you are with 911 calling up, can you help me with my homework?
Yeah. Yeah.
Only in the South.
Well, up north, too, believe me.
Yeah, but
how close was she to LBL? Was that right there?
I would say she was about 90 miles away.
Okay.
Okay, now you think about this. The LBL, where she was, and where those Reelfoot Lake people went missing, man, you go a straight line.
Yeah, and they travel how they travel. They don't need, they just go.
Yeah, and so they use river corridors, creeks, swamps, abandoned backcountry roads, railroad tracks, and they have my Dogman that lives across the street from me has a roaming radius of 360 degrees, 40 to 70 miles outside that zone. You can be in southwest Tennessee, northwest Alabama, northeast Mississippi. That's a lot of area.
Yeah.
That's a lot of area. So, you see, what you got to realize, these things are solid black. They can run down, I'm sure the barges have probably picked a few of them up, but they don't say nothing.
Yeah. They don't say they're easily to hide. There's one encounter that you shared with me just tonight, and I don't remember who you heard it from, but it's pretty graphic. And if you
could
share that, but try to be as less graphic as you can, please.
Okay. I'm not sure where the Appalachian Trail begins. I know it ends in Maine, and I think it's in northeast Georgia. I think that's where it comes out. And this people like to go ride their mountain bikes, just regular bicycles with the knoppy tires and stuff on it. That's real big up there. And they come out of Atlanta and all these other suburbs north of Atlanta, and they come up the Appalachian Trail, and they like to ride the trail. So some of the bikers had come up missing. So they contacted the U.S. Forest Service, which is over that in the United States. Well, it would be outside the Great Smoky Mountains National Forest, so they would be in jurisdiction. They call the Sheriff's Forest Service, and they would go out and they would find body parts spread out across the, about a mile or two, spread out, and, clothing ripped and tore to shreds, blood on it, and they would find that. Of course, that's covered up under bear attack. And I was telling Jeffrey, I was at LBL last time I was there was like 2010, and anyway, I was at New Johnsonville, and we're going to put in the boat in. I got the binoculars out. I looked at it. I said, Scott, it's whitecapping out there. You know what that means? I said, I'm going to take the truck and trailer and go on to Lake Barkley State Resort Park and meet you over there. So he went on, and I drove over there and was waiting for him down at the marina at the boat ramp. And he came in about 3 or 4 hours later and came in. I hauled a boat out of the water for him, and we were looking it over. This big old game warden, he's about 6'7", 350. He's a big old guy. I said, man, y'all play for NFL. You got me. I feel like a midget compared to you, But he came over. He said, where's your fishing gear? I said, it's a ski boat. Ain't no fishing boat. He said, what are y'all doing up here? I said, we grew up on Pickwick Lake, so we just want to go sightseeing, see the eagles and stuff like that, and just lay the land. We're not carrying contraband. I mean, we said, go ahead and search the big boat you want to. So he searched it. He said, no, you're clean. I just could have told you that. And anyway, he was kind of a grizzly type person. He got on the wrong side of me real quick. And so Scott and I went up to the inn and got a room, and the restaurant's really good. Here up to the Lake Barkley State Resort Park, they got excellent food at that park. It's really good. And so I was over eating Scott, and he wanted to call his girlfriend up in Atlanta. So I said, I'm going to go sit at this table where all these game wardens and the park rangers and other law enforcement, I think the Kentucky State Police, big old table. I think I'm going to see if I can glean any information off of them. And old game warden stared at me. I said, well, he wants to have a private call with his girlfriend. That's why I came over here, to kind of kill his curiosity. And I sat real quiet, and I just kind of put my back to the table. And I heard them talking the code names of what they call Sasquatch and Dogman. They call Black Dog and Black Bear. And then, of course, Jeffrey told me it's also named Black Cow. And I have heard that before. But they were just talking about Black Bear, but Black Dog, and they were talking in hushed tones. I said, mm-hmm. And that really, what Ron Stryker's one told me about on PhantomMonsters.com. He told me when I was on his site in February 2015 about, said, Google the beast of the LBL. I said, well, I never heard of the beast. What are y'all talking about? And so when I read that Jan Thompson article, I said, good night. And I didn't put two and two together until one of the stories I shared, might have been on Jeff's, I'm not sure, about that South Fulton Police Department call that the woman, how far are you from LBL? The state trooper goes, how far are you from LBL? I said, it's about 90 miles. But you parallel the real foot encounter they have the missing couple to the ladies encounter, which turned out to be false, to the LBL. It's straight parallel down the Tennessee-Kentucky line. I mean, directly. And there have been all kinds of cryptid encounters in that area, all the way up to Metropolis, Illinois, all the way over towards St. Genevieve, Missouri on the Mississippi. That's a real hot spot area up through there. And what I told Jeffrey is that these creatures are using all kind of corridors, which like the old rivers, the old abandoned sloughs, streams, creeks, abandoned railroads, farm roads, and back roads. And that's where how they're traveling and doing it at night. They're solid black. You're not going to see them unless they run in front of your car.
Right.
I heard, actually, there's two more. It's on the Ohio River, a little bit to the east of Brandenburg, Kentucky, but on the Ohio side. And a couple were, honeymooning out there on the back country roads, and two dogmen came up and killed both of them. Very graphic. I'm not going to go into it because there's kids, but they don't need to hear this. But that was the encounter. And in another encounter, a guy took I talked to him on the phone. He told me about this encounter, and it happened down at Scruggs Recreation Place on the 10-time waterway, where I told you in 2007, I was in August walking down the road for exercise. Right in that area where that brown fence is, I felt something weird, bad vibe, and I ran back to my car and got out of there. But when I talked to this person in 2016, told me he took a report from two teenagers on four-wheelers, those ATVs, and there's an old slough back there. I Googled maps, and sure enough, those sloughs back there, they were running, having a good time, and they thinking they just Dogman, two of them, got after them. And they saw it coming, and man, they were running for their lives, screaming and crying, and they were doing up speeds of 45 and 50 miles an hour, and that Dogman took the jacked off one and scratched the back seat of the other. And they were running down these back country roads and stuff, and they just finally outran it. He said they were scared to death. And so the reason this guy took the call, because at that time, it was still under federal jurisdiction of the 10-time Waterway Authority, and they couldn't tell that to local authorities. They'd get in trouble. So they told a cryptid investigator that story, who referred it to me. So there's all kinds of, there's many stories that don't go, real deep. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, you take a pepper shaker and pepper over your pink potatoes, it's going to hit, be hot, missing point. I live in Wind Springs, Cove, off Pickwick Lake.
Donald, for some reason, real quick, your phone's breaking up for some reason. Did you do something different?
Okay, how's it now?
That's good.
Okay, I live in southern Hardin County, Tennessee, and on Wind Springs Cove, and anyway, oh shoot. Oh, yeah, and this guy named Robbie was spraying my house back in 2017, and I asked him, I said, Robbie, you ever had any weird creature encounters besides panthers, mountain lions, and bobcats? He goes, yeah. I said, where was it? He said, right across he said, it's now the woods of Pickwick, Lakeside Subdivision. I said, over there across from the Pickwick State Park and the Hardin Authority dock. He goes, yeah. I said, tell me what happened. Well, here back in the early '80s, that was that was wilderness back there. We're talking about thousands of acres of wilderness. Anyway, he told me that his friends were. I said, "How many in your group?" He said, 6. They all had automatic shotguns. They was out, deer hunting. He said there's a big brush pile. He heard something. They heard something, and they thought it was a deer, so they all got down and firing positions. And he said he heard a scream, and up jumps some type of beast. I said, well, what was it? He said, it looked like a wild man. I said, somebody been living out wild in the woods? He goes, yeah. He said he was naked from the waist down and hairy from the waist up, and let out a scream and went running off in the, I said, he's barefoot, right? He goes, yeah. And he went running out in the woods. I said, and he was making the trail. I said, well, why didn't y'all shoot at it? He said, we didn't know what it was.
That's crazy.
And that's 5 miles from where I live.
Yeah. You live deep in the woods, that's for sure.
Yeah, so, it's you got to realize, like, my area opened up, Holiday Hills opened up in 62. Tim Tom Waterway, 74 to 85 is under construction. A guy told me the last encounter was he was working on the waterway camping. Instead of going home all the time, he just camped out where he worked. So he had to get up and he's at work. He saved money on gas and stuff. And he had a Dogman encounter. And this thing was kind of an reddish orange fur. But it had the snout looked like the size of an alligator, that size. The teeth were, like that. And it was about 7 feet tall. And it was walking down an old nature trail. And it was eating roadkill. And he happened, he was about maybe a quarter of a mile from it. And he happened to see it and took out his binoculars and got a good look at it. I go, I bet that stopped you from camping on that waterway, didn't it? He goes, you sure did.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it's sometimes our exposure to things are not, it's just like 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there. My Dogman encounters have been extremely up close. It's caught my attention, but it put me in such primal fear. It took me a long time to reveal it, and who do I reach out to reveal it on? So it took me, the Sasquatch encounter of 81 took 37 years for me to talk about. And then when I talked about that encounter, went to a behavioral therapist in Savannah, and Miss Sue talked to me. She goes, oh, you're making that up. You're just hallucinating. I said, ma'am, there ain't no way I can hallucinate what I saw that night. I said, I saw it. I was there, you were not. Well, I don't believe a word you say. I said, all right. I said, what do you like to do? You like to golf? She goes, I love it. Do you go out to a country club, or do you go out on these, like down in Myrtle Beach where you got swamps and stuff around she likes to do that. I said, one of these days, Miss Sue, you're going to see something, and it will blow your mind. Please call me on my cell phone when that happens. I will put you in touch with the right people to share your encounter. Because, ma'am, believe it or not, these things are real. I wish they weren't. None of us do. But they are.
Yeah. Donald, it's always a pleasure having you on. Thank you for coming back tonight and just shooting the breeze with me. It was great.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the text message.
All right, buddy. All right, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's second half as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I want to thank you all for all of your support. It truly does mean the world. I'd like to thank Donald for sharing his very terrifying events and those he had heard throughout his lifetime. And with that, please, everyone, stay safe, stay warm, and may the Great Spirit watch out for us all, and may he guide us down that path that we call life.